The casket hadn't even been lowered into the Kentucky clay when Uncle Harlan's voice sliced through the mourners like a switchblade. "That old house is mine. Been eyeing it since '98. He snarled, his meaty fist already rifling through Grandma's purse on the folding chair beside her empty seat. I stood frozen in the churchyard, the scent of magnolias choked by diesel from the idling pickup trucks, as my cousins swarmed the funeral like vultures, their whispers turning to shouts over silverware and heirloom quilts. In that moment, with the preacher's final amen still echoing off the steeple, I realized the woman who'd raised me was gone, and so was everything she'd ever built, except maybe the one secret she'd buried just for me. Her name was Evelyn Harper, but to me she was just Grams. Fierce as a bluegrass storm, with hands calloused from decades nursing the sick at the county hospital and a laugh that could coax fireflies out of hiding. She took me in after Mom overdosed when I was 12. Dad long vanished into some Memphis honky-tonk. We lived in that creaky Victorian on Elm Street in Lexington, the kind of place where the porch swing groaned secrets and the attic hid ghosts. Grams never married again after Grandpa passed in Nam, but she loved hard, piecing quilts for neighbors, slipping 20s to the homeless vets downtown. And me? I was her little Micah bird, the queer kid she'd caught kissing Tommy Jenkins behind the bleachers at 15. She didn't blink, just handed me a glass of sweet tea and said, "Love's love, darlin'. Don't let fools tell you different." The funeral was a farce from the jump. Harlan, her only brother, showed up in a rented suit 2 sizes too small, reeking of bourbon and entitlement. He'd blown his own inheritance on bad horses at Keeneland years back, and now, with Graham's modest estate, the house, her '72 Chevy Impala, a few thousand in savings, he smelled blood. My cousins, Tara and Jed, were his echoes. Tara with her bleach-blonde extensions and credit card debt, Jed fresh out of county lockup for boosting cars. They descended on the house that afternoon, while I was still in my black wool suit. Numb from the graveside eulogy I choked out about Graham's unbreakable spirit. "Move, Micah," Tara snapped, elbowing past me in the foyer, her acrylics scratching the wallpaper Grams had painted sky blue herself. "This vase? Auntie's. Family heirloom. It wasn't. Grams bought it at a yard sale for $3, but who was I to argue? I was the outsider, the one who'd gone Hollywood studying graphic design at UK, the one who brought home boyfriends instead of girlfriends. Jed was already in the kitchen, yanking drawers like he was gutting a fish, pocketing the silver locket Grams wore every Christmas. "Finders keepers, queer boy," he muttered, loud enough for the whole block to hear if they'd cared. I retreated to the living room, sinking into Graham's faded floral armchair, the one that still held the indent of her slight frame. The family buzzed like hornets. Harlan barking orders over the phone to a realtor, Tara snapping pics for eBay, Jed hauling boxes to his truck. By dusk, the place was stripped, photos yanked from walls, her Bible with my crayon scribbles in the margins stuffed into a trash bag. I felt it then, a hollow ache like swallowing glass. Betrayal wasn't new to me. I'd tasted it in high school lockers, in the church youth group's cold shoulders when I came out. But this was Graham's legacy pawed over like yesterday's trash. That's when I found it, slipping upstairs to the attic for one last breath of her. Dust motes dancing in the slanted light, the air thick with cedar and old paper. I tripped over a loose floorboard near her sewing machine. It popped up like a jack-in-the-box, revealing a shallow hidey hole. Inside, a small wooden chest, no bigger than a cigar box, etched with a delicate heart in swirling colors, reds fading to violets, like a faded pride flag. My hands shook as I pried it open. No jewels, no deeds. Just a yellowed envelope, my name scrawled in her looping script. "For Micah, when the wolves come howling." I tore it open right there, knees buckling against the rough planks. Her words spilled out like moonshine, warm and biting. "My dearest Micah bird, if you're reading this, Harlan's got his claws in, and the house is probably a yard sale by now. Don't you fret. I knew you'd need this more than silver or square footage. Tucked inside is the key to the old cabin up in the Red River Gorge. Mine since '68, deeded secret from your great-uncle. It's yours free and clear. But the real gift, the man who helped me fix it up last summer. Emmanuel Ruiz. He's a good one. Like you, heart as wide as the Ohio, eyes that see the colors in a gray world. I told him about my brave grandson, the artist with dreams bigger than Lexington. He laughed, said he'd love to meet you someday. Go find him, Micah. Build something real. Love ain't in walls or wallets. It's in the quiet spaces we share. Yours till the stars fall, Grams. A key tumbled out, brass and heavy, alongside a Polaroid. Grams grinning gap-toothed beside a tall Latino man with kind hazel eyes and a toolbox at his feet. The cabin's porch swing blurred behind them. Emmanuel. I'd never heard the name, but in that instant, he felt like a lifeline tossed into a riptide. The wolves didn't waste time. Harlan burst into the attic an hour later, spotting the chest in my lap. What's that? Gimme. He lunged, snatching it before I could react, his face twisting when he saw the letter. Emmanuel? Who the hell's that? Some spick handyman she was shacking up with? The slur hit like a slap, but worse was the greed in his eyes as he rifled for valuables. Tara and Jed piled in behind him, drawn by the commotion. Grams was senile, Tara sneered, snatching the Polaroid. Probably some scam. We're selling everything tomorrow, house goes to auction. I snatched the key back, heart hammering. It's mine. Deeded to me. Harlan laughed, a wet, ugly bark. Prove it, fairy. Without papers, it's ours. Blood family's blood. Blood. As if mine didn't count. The one Grams had bandaged after falls, the one I'd spilled coming out to her over pecan pie. They left me there, chest empty but for the key burning in my fist, the attic echoing with their footsteps. That night, I drove the back roads out of Lexington in Graham's old Chevy, the one they'd overlooked, keys still in the visor. Rain slicked the windshield, wipers slapping like accusations. The Red River Gorge loomed dark and jagged, a scar of sandstone cliffs and whispering pines that Grams called God's own cathedral. I'd camped there as a kid, her stories of moonshiners and Civil War ghosts lulling me to sleep. Now it felt like Judgment Day. The cabin squatted off a rutted trail, cedar shingles silvered by time, porch light flickering like a hesitant heartbeat. Smoke curled from the chimney. Someone was home. I killed the engine, key clutched like a talisman, and stepped into the downpour. The door creaked open before I knocked. And there he was, Emmanuel, broader than the photo suggested, flannel shirt damp from the rain, hazel eyes widening in the lamplight. You're Micah? His voice was low, accented with the soft roll of Texas borders, but warm, like coals under ash. Grams hadn't exaggerated. I nodded, throat tight. She left this for me. I held out the key. He took it gently, fingers brushing mine. Electric, unintended, but it lingered. He stepped aside, ushering me into the glow of a stone fireplace, the room smelling of pine sap and fresh cornbread. We sat on that swing-turned bench, rain drumming the tin roof, and I poured it out. The funeral-feeding frenzy, Harlan's venom, the ache of losing her twice, once to death, once to kin. Emmanuel listened, not interrupting, his presence steady as the gorge itself. He was 32, a carpenter who drifted from El Paso after his own family disowned him for loving a man. A professor, gone now to cancer. Grams had hired him for odd jobs, but they'd bonded over late-night talks on that very porch, her sharing stories of my artistic soul, him admitting the loneliness of building other people's homes while his own crumbled. She said you'd come, he murmured, eyes tracing the key in his palm. Said you were the one worth waiting for. The days blurred into a fragile rhythm. I stayed, sketching by the fire, gorge sunsets in charcoal, Emmanuel's hands shaping wood into shelves. We hiked the trails, his laughter echoing off arches of stone, as he pointed out hidden grottos, places where the river sang secrets. One evening, under a canopy of dogwoods, he took my hand. Not as pity, but as promise. Grams was right, he said, thumb tracing my knuckles. You're a builder too, Micah. Not houses, worlds. But the wolves tracked us. A week in, Harlan's truck rumbled up the drive, Tara's shrill voice preceding him like a siren. They'd found the deed in Graham's safety deposit box. overlooked in the chaos, and now they wanted the cabin too. Illegal transfer. Harlan bellowed from the porch, legal papers flapping in his fist. She's contesting it. Says Evelyn was incompetent at the end. Lies, all of it. Grams was sharp till her last breath, dictating that letter from her hospital bed. Emmanuel barred the door, but I stepped out, rain mixing with the fury boiling in my veins. Get off her land, I said, voice steady for the first time since the funeral. Tara lunged for the keychain on the porch rail. Graham's sunflowers dangling like a dare, but Emmanuel caught her wrist, gentle but iron. This ain't yours to take. The confrontation cracked open like thunder. Harlan swung wild, a haymaker fueled by booze and bigotry, catching my jaw with a burst of stars. Emmanuel tackled him into the mud, the two men grappling as Tara shrieked for Jed, who was nowhere, probably nursing a hangover. I scrambled for the papers, scattering them in the downpour, ink bleeding like accusations. She chose me, I yelled over the storm, because you never did, never saw her, never loved her like family should. Harlan stilled, mud-smeared and panting, something flickering in his eyes. Not remorse, but a ghost of it. Graham's brother, after all, the boy she'd bandaged as a child. She always picked strays over blood, he muttered, but there was defeat in it. Tara yanked him back to the truck, tires spinning gravel as they fled into the night. The cabin held. We nailed the deed to the wall like a trophy, Emmanuel's stitches closing the cut on my lip. In the quiet after, we sat by the fire, his arm around my shoulders, not as savior but equal. What now? I asked, head on his chest, the steady thump of his heart sinking with the rain's fade. We build, he said simply, piece by piece, for her. Months later, the cabin's ours, legally, fiercely. Harlan hasn't called. Tara's posts on Facebook silent. But Jed sent a card once, scrawled apology for the locket. Forgiveness? Not yet. But understanding the human tangle of greed and grief, it's a start. Emmanuel and I were planting a garden out back. Graham's roses tangled with his chili peppers from El Paso. I design logos for local queer youth groups. He teaches carpentry at the community center. Hands that once fixed her porch now shaping futures. Graham's gift wasn't the key or the walls. It was permission to love without apology, to claim space in a world that grabs first, asks never. In America's heartland, where bluegrass meets red clay, we've carved our cathedral. And every dawn, watching the gorge wake in gold, I feel her. Love's love, darlin'. Don't let fools tell you different.